Don't judge a book by its cover. That's one of the first things a lot of us are taught by parents or teachers. Things can be different on the inside from the way they appear on the outside. And that's often true, except in movies. The majority of the time, characters are designed with appearances that match their personalities, goals, or interests. A tightly wound character might be given a rigid and angular design. A wild character can be designed with a big hat and a crazy bow tie. The DMV is slow, so it's run by sloths. Penelope is hyper, so she has candy in her hair, etc., etc. Obviously, this is subverted sometimes. But when it's not, characters with specific personalities can be given certain physical features, until the feature itself comes to represent the personality traits as a whole. And one of the character designs that I've seen reused in media, often with the same purpose, is blue hair. So I'm going to see if there's a through line, a common trait among characters designed with blue hair. Blue hair in media is actually extremely common. To prove this point, of course, I'm going to go through some examples, starting with movies. In the 2010 movie Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, Ramona Flowers sports blue hair, among other colors. She starts off the movie with pink hair, and the first color she dyes it to is blue.
You know your hair?
I know of it.
It's all blue.
I change my hair every week and a half to get used to it.
Besides this being an indication to Scott that Ramona is constantly changing and rebellious, it also serves as a reference to the three golden goddesses in The Legend of Zelda: Din, Nehru, and Farore. Nehru, the blue goddess, is the goddess of wisdom. This contributes to Ramona's position above Scott. She's on a completely different plane, and he has to complete a number of tasks in order to be able to reach her. Another character in the movie, Scott's 17-year-old girlfriend Knives, also dyes her hair blue to mimic Ramona in order to get Scott's attention. Sticking with girls who dye their hair a lot, we have Clementine Krasinski from Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Clem, like Ramona, goes through a lot of hair colors in her movie, but she's determined to maintain her lack of participation in the Manic Pixie Dream Girls Club.
Too many guys think I'm a concept, or I complete them, or I'm gonna make them alive. But I'm just a fucked up girl who's looking for my own peace of mind. Don't assign me yours. I'm not a concept, Joel. I'm just a fucked up girl who's looking for my own peace of mind. I'm not perfect.
Chronologically, she starts out with green hair, then red, then orange, and finally, blue. Her hair is dyed blue after she erases Joel from her memory. In this instance, the blue takes on two opposing meanings: distance and familiarity. Her dark blue hair reflects her cold, callous decision to erase Joel. This dark color also represents a lack of vibrancy seen in the other colors, which mimics the emotional distance between the two characters.
I mean, the whole thing with the hair, it's all bullshit.
I really like your hair.
It's sort of pathetic.
I really like your hair.
Thank you.
However, this is also the color she wears when her and Joel re-spark their relationship. Because besides being cold, blue can also be cool, relaxed, and assured. Clem and Joel both know from listening to the tapes that their relationship is essentially doomed. Joel will try to tie Clem down, and Clem will grow to resent him. Nevertheless, they're content with it, and they're willing to try it out regardless of its ending. Another movie with a supposedly clear Manic Pixie Dream Girl is Blade Runner 2049. But with this example as well, Joy represents a subversion of this trope. She's a holographic companion, and her appearance can be changed constantly based on Kay's desires. But Kay wonders throughout the film whether her feelings for him are authentic, or merely due to her programming.
I'm so happy when I'm with you.
You don't have to say that.
The only times Joy has blue hair is when she's being advertised. She's a nearly cartoon character dancing to interest buyers, and she's a holographic billboard, advertising an exciting experience to lonely pedestrians. Like the other examples, she has a lurking sadness underneath her exciting exterior. And she's not even the only blue-haired Joy to experience sadness under her happy exterior. 2015's Inside Out follows a group of emotions that exist in the head of and control preteen girl Riley. She's happy and content in the beginning of the movie, until her family moves, and being uprooted from her friends, experiencing social anxiety, and just growing up turns her into a sad, frustrated child for a period of time. Riley learns to adjust to the move and accept all of her emotions as normal and necessary for her development. The emotion of joy inside her head follows a similar arc. Joy wants Riley to be happy all the time. Once Riley starts growing up, though, the struggles of adolescence start to cause her to have more sad than happy memories. Joy goes on a journey with sadness to fix this, and by the end of the movie learns to accept sadness as a part of Joy. This final character arc is revealed in Joy's first appearance, through her character design. All of the emotions in Riley's head are one color. Disgust is green, anger is red, fear is purple, and sadness is blue. But Joy is yellow, and her hair is blue. Her design communicates the point that it's normal for happiness to include a little sadness.
I can't, Joy.
Yes, you can. Riley needs you.
The emotions see this firsthand with the concept of nostalgia, as sadness goes around touching happy yellow memories, turning them blue, and effectively reworking the way Riley reflects on her past. Another child that acts out because of a move is Coraline Jones. At the beginning of the movie, Coraline is living in this boring, drab, gray world. Her blue hair allows her to stand out against her setting, and eventually forces her to see herself fit better in the other world. Her parents are constantly working, and her attempts to get their attention only results in her being pushed away to entertain herself, adding to her isolation.
Go out and count all the doors and windows and write that down. List everything that's blue. Just let me work.
Everything about Coraline slightly alienates her. Her hair is an unnatural color, a shade or two away from the normal black, but clearly different. Like her name, a letter or two away from the normal Caroline, but clearly different.
It's Coraline.
Caroline what?
Coraline. Coraline Jones.
It's not real scientific, but I heard an ordinary name like Caroline can lead people to have ordinary expectations about a person.
So in this example, the blue hair serves as a way to reaffirm her worldview that she is starkly different from both her parents and the environment around her. Characters like Brian Slade from Velvet Goldmine and Steve-O from SLC Punk sport blue hairstyles as symbols of rebellion. Steve-O is a contrarian to the core. He looks down upon his parents for giving up their hippie roots to settle down to live boring lives, and he rejects his acceptance to Harvard because of his repulsion to the idea that it upholds. His mindset's changed when he meets Brandy, and she poses an interesting question.
Wouldn't it be more of an act of rebellion if you didn't spend so much time buying blue hair dye and going out to get punky clothes?
She kind of dismantles his whole persona by suggesting that the blue hair and punk clothes, symbols of rebellion, have turned into uniforms to identify oneself as punk, thereby missing the point of the mindset being in the mind and unable to be displayed through physical appearance.
You want to be an individual, right? You look like you're wearing a uniform. I mean, you look like a punk. That's not rebellion. That's fashion.
There's a lot more punks than there was 4 years earlier, but there was also as many posers. Posers were people that looked like punks, but they did it for fashion. I guess when all was said and done, I was nothing more than a goddamn trendy-ass poser.
Movies like Pink Skies Ahead and Kimmy feature female protagonists with blue hair, and for them, the hair is less of a symbol of rebellion and more of a suggestion of isolation. Winona appears to be confident in her choices and secure in herself, but she's actually pretty lost. She's dropped out of school and she's stuck in place, and her struggles with her identity come to a head when she's diagnosed with an anxiety disorder, and it questions the personality that she's been crafting.
But she feels like something's wrong. She feels like there's something wrong with her. She feels like she's different from everybody else, but she doesn't feel she looks like somebody or acts like somebody with an anxiety disorder, so she kind of brushes it off.
For children's movies, the blue hair tends to relate to a couple different character traits. In Corpse Bride, Emily's hair is mainly used to show her otherworldliness. Her whole design is very muted and airy to reflect her ghostly nature, and her blue hair is the cherry on top of the unrequited love story. If red is passion, then blue is longing. And if Victoria, through her neat, tailored appearance, represents consistency, natural bonds, and the future, then Emily, in her whimsical, flighty appearance, represents unpredictability, unnatural connections, and the past. In Disney's Hercules, Hades has blue hair, meant to show his surprising tranquility. It matches his muted look, finished off by his pale complexion and gray robe. He's an interesting example, though, because when he gets angry, his hair erupts into bright orange flames. This would suggest that his rage makes him get hotter, but in reality, the blue flame is hotter than the orange flames. I'm sure these colors were chosen simply because audiences, especially child audiences, associate blue with cool and orange with hot, but it would be interesting if the leader of the underworld was constantly at the hottest temperature until he raged, and that loss of control actually cooled him down. Blue hair actually pops up a lot in children's movies. Silver Mist in Tinkerbell has blue hair, most likely to fit in with her power set as a water fairy. The blue hair matches both her personality and the traits of water: calm, free-spirited, serene. Nori is another example of a blue-haired children's movie character, but her identification is completely different. Her blue hair fits her power set of a mermaid that lives in the water, but she's pretty short-tempered and lively, perhaps to match with the traits of more rough water. Unpredictable, impulsive, volatile.
I mean, you're beautiful now, but you're not that beautiful. What?
Azur from Barbie Fairytopia matches up with this more headstrong depiction, and I think the brothers in Onward match up with each trait, with Barley being the assertive, confident blue-haired character, and Ian being the more reserved one. Aside from movies, there's a ton of examples throughout TV, video games, comics, even music. For recency's sake, I'll start with Jinx. When she's a child, her hair is pretty tame and short. Then when she gets older, it turns into this unique double-braided hairstyle, this unruly all-down look, and eventually a Vi-style, half-shaven, purple-streaked side part. Her blue hair becomes a meaningful plot point within the show's universe. In Season 2, Jinx dyes Isha's hair blue, watering the seeds of Isha's unspoken bond with Jinx and serving as a catalyst for her brave decision at the end of the season. The blue hair doesn't only impact Isha. The people in Zaun begin to dye their hair blue as a way to mimic Jinx, the figure they adopt as the symbol of their rebellion. In the Paint the Town Blue scene, we see how this movement has completely taken over Zaun. In Star vs. the Forces of Evil, Moon's hair serves a similar purpose. It's a light blue, possibly used to reflect her calm authority. When she's in a defined position of power, it's in a stiff updo, but when she's younger and more flighty and impulsive, it's worn down. The hair isn't always used to reflect this type of character, though. In the same show, Janna has dark blue hair, and it's meant to be a topper to her quirky, eccentric personality. Then there's characters like Jackie, who have blonde hair with blue streaks because she's edgy.
I don't know. I like a little edge and a little pop in my hair, so I wanted to add something different, especially for the Teen Vogue party.
I think the streaks in the hair are often used to reflect some sort of separation. Tibby in the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants and Aquamarine both have blue streaks in their hair. Aquamarines are used to depict her otherworldliness, a quality that's accepted when the girls dye blue streaks in their hair to match hers. And Tibby's are used to reflect her alternative personality and differentiate her from the other girls. And she ends up probably having the most serious and traumatic plotline of all the girls in the movie. There's a couple shows that have multiple blue-haired characters in them. In She-Ra, Frosta, Mermista, and Natasha all have blue hair. In the 80s cartoon, Frosta has long, icy blue hair. In the Netflix reboot, she has a short, blunt bob. 80s Mermista has long blue hair, Netflix Mermista has this sort of mid-length teal hair, and 80s Natasha's long swept-back hair is swapped for a half-shaven look. A bunch of characters in Gem and the Holograms have blue hair. Stormer has voluminous dark blue hair to match her rock persona. Craig and the lead guitarist of Gem and the Holograms both have blue hair as well. Steven Universe has its fair share of blue characters. Blue Diamond is a grief-stricken, sometimes compassionate, sometimes cruel leader. Lapis is self-assured and cunning, and Sapphire is calm and composed. Even Rugrats has a host of blue-haired characters. So with all these examples, is there any through line for these characters? Blue hair being shorthand for quirky has become a wide-ranging trope. Why is that? And when it's not being used to suggest that, what is it being used for? To answer that, we have to go back for a minute. In 1883, Carlo Collodi released The Adventures of Pinocchio, a book which featured the fairy with turquoise hair. This wise fairy, described as having azure hair, who has lived in the forest for over 1,000 years, gives Pinocchio advice, forgives him after he lies to her, and rewards him with becoming human. This is one of the first widely known accounts of a literary character with blue hair. Her hair both adds to her whimsy as a fairy and serves as a useful trait for Pinocchio to easily recognize her. She's the beginning of blue-haired characters that are intriguing with a hint of otherworldly mystery. As the blue hair in media continues, I think it boils down to represent 3 types of character traits. First, they're whimsical. Blue hair is unnatural, so immediately when we see a character with blue hair, we assume that they're intentionally designed to be unique. I think this whimsical aspect can evolve into 2 things. The character can be literally powerful. The whimsical element contributes to some sense of magic. The blue-haired characters in She-Ra have literal powers, many of which relate to ice or water. Moon has powers, and she's royalty, placing her in this sort of unreachable position of power, and comic characters like Nightcrawler or Beast have powers as well. The second thing that this can evolve into is being whimsical to the character. This is that sort of manic pixie dream element. Characters like Ramona, Clem, and Joy become these otherworldly beacons to the male characters in their respective movies, whether they want to or not. Secondly, I think that blue hair can clue that a character is upset. Blue is a melancholy color. The Old English term blue devils, which referred to low spirits and sadness, started this association between blue and depression. To this day, people still associate feeling blue with sadness. Blue Diamond was in this constant state of grief for thousands of years following the shattering of Pink. This sadness is reflected in her all-blue design, low-energy behavior, and sunken, downturned eyes. Joy, the embodiment of happiness, has traces of blue sadness in her hair. Sometimes these characters being upset or angry can mean that they're misunderstood. They've experienced some trauma, and in some instances, those events might have encouraged them to make a physical change in their appearance. Chloe Price from Life is Strange and Winona from Pink Skies Ahead both dye their hair blue, and both go through pretty draining journeys of self-discovery. 2D from Gorillaz experienced pretty serious trauma as well, his name 2D even coming from the 2 dents that were beaten into his head. The third explanation that's often associated with blue hair is to show that the character is an outsider or a rebel. Sometimes this hair is used to show a character's eccentricity or denial of social norms. Sometimes this outsider notion has led them to develop a rebellious persona. Steve-O is a punk, Coraline feels ignored by her parents and out of place in the world around her, Jana lives on Earth, the normal counterpart to Muni, but she's intrigued with the occult, magic, and the paranormal. Jinx constantly feels discarded by family members and becomes a symbol of a rebellion, and Stormer is literally part of a band called the Misfits. But these categories aren't exclusive. Some design elements have come to be synonymous with certain traits. Glasses were a stand-in for nerd. Blonde hair was a stand-in for mean girl. But the blue hair works more like a Venn diagram, and characters' blue hair can be justified using multiple or all of these explanations. Moon is a powerful leader from another dimension, but she's also misunderstood by her daughter for having this double life as a composed queen, a dark magic user, and a powerful rebel. In Corpse Bride, Emily is very whimsical. She has a flowing outfit, gaunt appearance, she glows, but she's also very upset from the past trauma from her murder, and she's an outsider. She's literally separated from the living by the veil between life and death. And sometimes the explanation behind the hair has less to do with the characters and more to do with the references being made by the production. In Miraculous, Marinette has blue hair. Her mom does too, so it's genetic, not a choice. She's pretty shy and awkward, making the hair that's been tagged as making people stand out even more of a cruel joke. But she's not really a rebel, and she's not angry or experiencing any trauma. But she is a superhero. and her design was apparently a reference to superhero comics where black hair was highlighted using blue. Another example of a character design being decided by behind-the-scenes references is with Marge Simpson. Blue hair is a naturally occurring color in The Simpsons, but what makes Marge stand out is the shape of her hair. The creator of The Simpsons, Matt Groening, has stated that Marge's hair was inspired by his mother's beehive hairdo and The Bride of Frankenstein. So really, it can happen for a number of reasons, which brings us back to the original question. Does blue hair communicate a one-size-fits-all narrative to the characters it's designed with? I think the ending of SLC Punk said it best.
Then what's rebellion?
Rebellion happens in the mind. You can't create it. You just are that way.
Blue hair can't be used as a costume to serve as a catch-all for weird characters. Some of the blue-haired characters represent anger, some calmness, others whimsicality, and others isolation. It's kind of a catch-22. Blue hair is meant to signify uniqueness. Uniqueness that gets erased when the symbol of separate expression becomes its own trend. But no singular explanation can be given to fit every scenario. That would undermine the focus on individuality that blue hair as a whole aims to represent.